Going back to what you were saying about Rachel Reeves, do you think that Labour is taking the right tactic by sort of marshalling its forces to directly attack reform? If you look at how they've been operating in the last couple of months, for every time they talk about the Tories, they talk about reform 2 or 3 times.
Or
Do you
more.
think this is the right tactic?
More. Yes, it is. But at the same time, they're equally impotent against both of them. This is the problem, that all they can do with reform is to make symbolic gestures which nobody actually believes. I mean, when they talk about reducing immigration, we know they can't. It's very simple, because they are totally unwilling to do any of the things that are needed. Again, the attempt at outflanking reform over things like restoring the winter fuel allowance and so on. This seems to me to be profoundly dangerous because, of course, in trying to play reform's populist game, reform at the moment, again, has got the enormous advantage that it's in opposition. It isn't directly held to account. And there's no way in which it can. So you can throw promises around like confetti, and particularly at this moment of the political game. But the government can't. In its endeavour to fight reform, it's immediately landed itself in self-contradiction. It begins proclaiming that you had to withdraw the winter fuel allowance because there was a 22 billion black hole that had to be filled, and you even had the leader of the House saying, if we didn't withdraw the winter fuel allowance, there would be a run on the pound. And then suddenly we discover that the black hole miraculously has been filled, apart from the fact that every other economic indicator has gone sharply in the wrong direction. So their very endeavour to fight reform, I think, is digging them. I fear, we keep on talking about holes, the 22 billion black hole is rapidly turning into a black hole. I mean, into which they are disappearing. And they are playing a manifestly false game. If we also look at their attempt at almost resorting to Lib Dem tactics, and there's an interesting piece in the Times today. I've never read an entire column in the Times by their principal political correspondent, Patrick Maguire, on the subject of the Iron Pier at Southport. Can you imagine that our governing party, in the middle of arguably a seismic financial crisis, sees its principal method of dealing with reform paying for the restoration of a crumbling cast iron pier at Southport? Now that's Lib Dem politics, and it also, of course, it is simply frivolous. It is simply absurd. The idea that I mean, we are confronting, as I'm sure you would agree, and again, it's one of the things that Farage and Yusuf have failed, and Tice have failed to acknowledge. We are confronting a gigantic financial crisis because the state is too big, tries to do too much, and does everything badly. And the idea then, you just throw another lot of dosh at specific targets, picked out with a degree of total crudity in the north of England. Here there's been a riot. Here there's been reformers won the local council. Let's throw them a few sweeties. And it is this total contempt for the electorate, the total contempt for their good sense, which I think is one of the things that's got us into the present mess. So in that sense, Labour is actually making its situation worse as it tries in this deeply crude fashion to fight reform piecemeal and without thinking through to the real problem. I mean, it's been clear from the beginning the Conservatives lost because they had no serious thoughts about how to govern Britain. Labour is losing even worse because it has fewer serious thoughts and is making more radical financial errors.
Well, I think that's a fair point. The end of the Pier show in Southport reminds me of the level of frivolity of the Cones hotline. It has this sort of
under John Major.
It's they are hitting what looks like the end of their imagination and depth within a year of becoming government.
It's in full decadence, isn't it?
The Cones hotline was after Thatcher and Major. And it was that they had gone through so much more and gone through so much better. They had actually achieved things before they ran out of road.